Hey everybody, so today we're going to be looking at the politics of the war and a couple other things that go along with it. We talked a lot about slavery at the beginning of this. Now, slavery is in many ways the linchpin, right, that causes the Civil War. However, it is not the only issue that causes the war. And I think that's important to remember because sometimes in popular media and what you read online, it does seem like slavery was the only thing ripping these two peoples apart, but it really wasn't. So let's quickly look. Before the war, Lincoln had said he was not going to try and get rid of slavery. Now, we remember him as the great emancipator who does this, but it wasn't that way in 1860, in 1861. It wasn't until later, in 1862, when he actually makes this decision. So Lincoln's view of slavery did change throughout the war, and he became increasingly convinced, as he became more religious, that he was meant to free the slaves. So he had a problem, though. After the Battle of Antietam, he issues his Emancipation Proclamation, which is probably his most famous action as president, maybe aside from the Gettysburg Address. Let's read it quickly. It's right down here at the bottom. All persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be then, thenceforth, and forever free. And upon this act, sincerely believed to be an act of justice warranted by the Constitution upon military necessity, I invoke the considerate judgment of mankind and the gracious favor of Almighty God. So right there, he thought it was a religious action in many ways as well. Here's the problem. If you look here, it only freed slaves in states who were in rebellion. Now, there are 4 states in the Union that still have slavery: Delaware, Maryland, Kentucky, and Missouri. So, after the Emancipation Proclamation, he realizes if he says all the slaves are free in the country, those 4 states would have gone with the Confederacy, and he couldn't have that happen. So it really didn't actually free a single person because people in the South were governed at that point by the Confederacy. They weren't going to turn around and say, well, Lincoln says we have to get rid of our slaves, so we will. Here's what it does, though. Although many people in the North didn't like it, especially the Democrats, many free black men immediately joined the Union Army because another part of the Emancipation Proclamation says they could easily join the Army. And the other thing it did was it set up this war as a moral cause. Remember, we talked, it wasn't didn't grab your heart, right? This idea of keeping the Union together. Well, freeing people from slavery was a great moral cause. So one, it stopped Britain from helping the Confederacy. They didn't want to be seen as helping a slave-owning country. And it also caused many men who were abolitionists to join the military. There's a good video about this right here. If you go to Classroom, the PowerPoint is there. You can watch the video. Also, Lincoln has a bunch of other political problems. Let's take a look here. Lincoln and Jefferson Davis faced some very similar problems as the president of both the Confederacy and the Union. Dissent was a huge problem. On both sides, there were people who didn't want to join the military. And there were people who didn't want the government to be fighting this war. So Lincoln has a huge problem. But in trying to deal with this, he actually violates the Constitution. The writ of habeas corpus. Now, if you don't know what that is, I want you to go right here and go up to this video and watch it. When you are done watching it, you can come back here. Actually, you know what? While you're at it, come down here and watch this video as well. Looks like my computer is having some issues. Come back down here and watch this one as well. Okay? So people were arrested. They were really tried illegally. They were not given a lawyer. They were not given a trial by jury, as the Bill of Rights lays out. It also, Lincoln institutes a draft, right, that was very unpopular with many people, and mostly with poor whites, mostly Irish immigrants, actually rioted in the streets of New York City for 2 reasons. One, they didn't want to join the military, be forced to. Two, they also didn't want the slaves freed, and it's just an economic reason. They didn't want these freed men traveling north and taking their jobs. So Lincoln has a very, very difficult decision here. So what I would like you to do is you are going to watch the video on the previous page, watch those two videos if you have not already, and there's a small assignment waiting for you in Classroom attached to this video. It should not take you very long. So, have a good one. I will talk to you soon. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow.